for on Twitch. So thank you everyone for coming in early and on time. I am a little bit delayed today, but it's all good. We putting kids to bed. It's never a perfect science. And yeah, so we've got a lot of really cool things to talk about. We'll go live and start the podcast in just a few moments on Facebook. We'll get into all the different topics. We got C4 and Gil on to talk about these NHL playoffs as well as Hershey Bears in the AHL playoffs. We're loving C4's new background. She's got the Bears reporter look, going, which I appreciate. And yeah, so we're a couple minutes late, so I'm just doing my final touch-ups of the studio and things like that. But I figured I could bring my friends on live and we could chat with everybody. And I wanted to thank everyone for the hype train since it was live as well. So thank you everyone for being a part of that. We have Carly Sings who started us off with a big resub, 37 months of subscription, which is pretty amazing. And then Tina also resubbed as well. Also gifted some bits, and which I really appreciate. They resubbed for 21 months and gave us 1,000 bits and 100 bits. So I really appreciate that, as well as DC's People's Champ for joining in on the sub 29 months for Champ, who will be on the podcast later tonight. We'll be talking about a ton of different topics with him. I also have a good friend of the show, Adrian Ace Caltor 13, who's a news streamer. So go give him a follow as well. And he's a big hockey fan. And he's the guy who actually got me in to the Edmonton Oilers. And I've kind of rooted for them as my West Coast team because he's from Edmonton. And he and I are he's probably my longest hockey fan I know. Like the person I grew up watching hockey with. We've watched so many games together here in the man cave. And so it's cool that he's live with us as well. And so I really appreciate everyone for joining that hype train. I even got a really cool emote from it. So thank you guys for gifting a laughing dog emote, which I think is hilarious. And so yeah, I really appreciate everyone for tuning in on the Twitch side. We've got a game between the Sun and the Fever, WNBA taking the spotlight right here. The Sun are up 85 over the Fever, who have 84. There's 11.3 seconds in it, and they're in the fourth quarter. And the Oilers Canucks game starts at 9:15. So it will be interesting to see what they do here, if they keep it here or if they end up putting the NHL game on ESPN2. Luckily, ESPN owns a lot of channels, so I'm not worried. People will get to watch their hockey. But I do kind of love the spotlight that people tuning in for a game seven or in a great women's basketball game that they tune into, which is, I think, kind of a cool thing for that sport as well. Because there's definitely there's more eyeballs right now in the WNBA than ever before, but still never totally enough. And money with a raid. Welcome on in, Raiders. Wow, what a very exciting first 15 minutes here on the podcast. We had a hype train, and now we have some raiding friends. So a big fan of them. So yeah, oops. But yeah, yeah, I really appreciate it. So, he definitely usually is on the True Paradox show. So go check it out. Welcome on Genuine Mischief. Yeah, no problem with the raid call. Yeah, I'm so happy to have all you guys here. We're watching the last 5 seconds of a WNBA game here. The Sun are up now 3 with a free throw coming with 5.1 seconds left. After that, it's switching over to the Oilers Canucks, which is in a game seven tonight, which we're very excited about. And so we're here, a final shot up, and it is no good. The Sun outlasts the Fever. They go to 3-0. The Fever, with the big signing of Clark, they go to 0-4. Gil here. And I can't talk a lot of trash because the Mystics I think it was yesterday, went to 0-3 on the season. So yeah, it's a tough time for some of the teams that we're rooting for. But yeah, they're about to switch over to this Oilers Canucks game, which will be very exciting. So we'll talk about this live game seven as well as talk about the other series in the NHL. And we're also going to talk about the Bears. And then when the podcast also begins, we will talk in the second segment about basketball. We'll bring in some of our friends Arun and Tim on to talk about that. And then the third segment, we'll have Champ on, and we'll talk all the other DC sports from the Mystics to all the baseball and all that sort of stuff. But we'll go through the full list in a second. I just want to thank everyone on Twitch for making this an awesome beginning to a podcast. I need to go get my tall glass of water. I left it upstairs. But Gil, let people know what happened on your podcast that you released to the Twitch audience, a little bit of a different audience than some of our Facebook ones. I'll also let you give a shout out at the end of our segment as well to on the podcast as well. But while I go grab the water, let people know what you were able to do with Stuart and friends.
Sure. Thanks, Robbie. Yeah, what I decided to do for um, essentially our last episode of 2024, just have some of our listeners have a last say as to what they felt, how they went the 2024 season for the Caps went this year. So probably two of our fiercest fans, um, Paul Hackett and Stuart Small, um, came on and each gave their thoughts. They had their own segment to give their thoughts to that. So that's what's featured this week, and so that's going to be the last episode for this year, as I said, unless something major breaks in the off season, like maybe a big trade or a big signing, which frankly I don't see. I don't really see happening. But if anything like that should break, that will probably come on with some sort of episode during the summer, but I don't anticipate that. It'd be more likely that we're back on for the season opener in October, whenever that is. You will probably hear me and our other lovely co-host for this evening on SportsOTHP C4 when the draft takes place in about, I want to say 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
Perhaps what, 4 weeks?
4 weeks.
25th.
June 25th, so about 4.5 weeks on the Sucrum's Off the Chain, Capitals Off the Chain podcast, hosted by the mighty Sucrum himself. I've been asked to be something of a panelist. I don't know if we're going to go live when the first round is happening. I'm not sure what the plans are, but we're going to
live?
Evaluate
Are we going live with the draft?
Picks.
Oh, she's asking.
I just asked Marcus. The plan is to do it live.
Okay. Yeah, we'll probably be doing that live to cover the Caps draft pick. They're picking
so you're
number 17.
It live. You record it live, but you don't. It's not released anywhere live. Like you couldn't watch.
You'd have to ask Marcus that.
We don't know. We record it and then it posts up on Spotify when we're done recording.
Yeah, so it's going to be a watch along.
Unless he figures out.
Yeah, unless there's a way to post it, live.
Yeah.
But that's up to Marcus.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's working on some stuff. So.
Yeah, I'll have to teach him how to do live streaming at some point.
Well, we're definitely going to cover the first round for sure. Not as deep a draft as last year, but a lot of anticipation to see what the Caps do in the first round, at least.
Do you mind, DJ? My cat's trying to steal my pretzels. Well, one of the cats is trying to steal my pretzels.
I do want to mention the Oilers game has the puck is now.
But I have food.
Yes, puck drop has occurred. Oh, sorry, Robbie.
Yes.
Yeah. So also I wanted to welcome in Andy as well. And I guess we should start the actual podcast. This is the game that started as well.
I don't know who did he, Rob, but that was a hella save. 2 hella saves.
Start the actual podcast.
Yeah.
The actual puck?
Episode 340. Is it 2 already? That's crazy.
Let me know when it started. I've got a killer commentary about this whole series. Man, it has been crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and explain it. I'll let you know when I'm done typing, and then that way.
Well, so I mean, there's nothing like a game 7 in any sport. But I think hockey has it all over the other major sports as far as game 7. There's nothing like, no matter what round, there's nothing like a game 7 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And these two teams have been going back and forth for a while. But what's made it kind of and I normally never go into this part of it, but I'm kind of a Twitter hound, mainly because I try to pick up bits of information about what teams might do, but in so doing, I notice how fan bases interact towards each other, and well, oh boy, these two teams really, their fan bases really don't like each other at all.
No,
You
they
thought
don't.
you thought the Rangers, Penguins fans, Devils fans, there was hate there. I don't think that comes anywhere close to what what I've seen. But anyway, it's been kind of hyped up between because whoever wins this represents Canada in the next to last round, if you think about it. So there's a lot at stake here. So there's a lot of pent up energy, a lot of hype going on. So and it's kind of funny because both teams they're hosted by the Rogers Corporation is
This
a
is
big
live.
big thing up in Canada. So one the Edmonton rink is Rogers Place, and Vancouver they play in the Rogers Arena. So with all this pent up energy, it's and the fact that it's gone to Game 7, that whole area between Vancouver and Edmonton, if you think about it, has become something of a Rogersness zone. If you think about it.
I'm so happy I actually started recording the audio podcast in the middle of that. Uh, it's so funny. What a way to start. But if you're just tuning in, over live, episode 342, Sports on the Hill podcast, I had to let Gil get a zing in there at the beginning of this. It's been a really amusing beginning to this game, and I wanted to ask Gil here at the beginning of this podcast. Edmonton and Vancouver haven't played each other in the playoffs very many times, right? Like it's been only a handful, I think.
Well, they did they did in the 80s because
It's
they
been a
were in the
long
same
time.
division. But yeah, it's been a while because, well, for a while both teams were very bad. For
Yeah.
one thing, um, and divisional alignment has been played another. But yeah, it's been quite a while since these two have met in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that the other day. It was just kind of surprising. I'm gonna lower our volume. I think this is gonna be better. I'm just seeing if we're peaking. But anyway, but I want to welcome on in all of the different people that have been with us live on Twitch, and now we're bringing in a new audience on Facebook and our audio podcast. Tonight is a little bit of a different format. I had plans, lots of plans, many things that have fallen through and changed. When you're a producer on a daily show out behind the scenes, you never know what's going to happen, who's going to be able to be in or out. You have all these plans and all these different things, but you do with what the hand that is dealt to you. So tonight we have a really exciting podcast with a ton of my good friends talking about a lot of great things. I will be totally transparent, want to have Scott on tonight to get his Rangers recap, but his leg is hurting. He had to have a procedure done. He was unsure if he was going to be able to do it, and so he's just not feeling up to it. And I totally get that. He wants to only come on when he's feeling 100%, and so I hope that he heals and recovers quickly. We will miss him on tonight's show, but I'm hoping in 2 weeks, if the Rangers do make it all the way, we're going to be doing it. Well, either a game 7 of that game or a preview of the Stanley Cup for the next podcast. So episode 343 will actually be in 2 weeks. We're all going to take Memorial Day off, give everyone the holiday, and enjoy swimming and whatever people do, and time with their family. And we all come back refreshed and can do the very last podcast of the spring season, which will be that June 3rd one. Exciting news about that podcast we'll be talking about in the UFL update section. We're actually having a live, even though the Defenders are unfortunately out of it. They did lose this week and they are out of playoff contention. We are going to go to their last game of the season. They're playing a very bad team from Arlington. And I always like rooting for the DC team over the Dallas area team. I'm excited for that opportunity. We're going to have a podcast meetup. We're going to be joined by Champ. Tim and Carol and myself are all going to go, and we're going to put information about if you want to meet up with us at the game. Since we're not bound for the playoffs and it's a battle between two bad teams, you can get tickets for very, very cheap. So, like, if you guys want to meet up and have a good time and catch a game right now, tickets are under $20 a person. You can, with fees. So like that's a really good deal. And it's a $2 metro anywhere right now on Sundays. So for $22 to get into a football game and root against a Dallas area team, it's I think it's worth it. So we're gonna go. We're gonna have a good time and see what it's about. And I'm excited. And so yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that in our update at the end of the podcast. We also have Arun and Tim going to talk NBA playoffs with us as we preview all of the different NBA conference championships. And in this segment, with the remaining time, the 25 minutes or so, we're going to talk about how we get to the Eastern Conference champions and also a championship, and also the Western Conference one, which is still being decided tonight in a game 7, which we'll be talking about as well. But we'll start Gil on the Eastern side. The Rangers series was very interesting against the Canes. When we last left off, they got a big win, and we thought, um, anyway, we thought that could pole vault them into something, and it kind of did a little bit, but they had an opportunity with a lead, the Hurricanes, that is, going into the third period, and the New York Rangers were able to pull a hat trick out and yeah, get a win. And it's very similar to a series in 1994, I think, Gil. And so I thought that maybe you could shed some light to our listeners on some of your thoughts on that series as well as some of the history with the Rangers.
Yeah, 1994, as well, most, if you've followed hockey long enough, was of course the last year the Rangers won the cup, and it was the breaking of the curse. Um, pardon me. And the I don't honestly I don't remember much about the first. Well, um, yeah, no, if I remember right, the Caps faced the Rangers in the, can't remember if it was the first or the second round. Um, but the conference final series was probably one of the best hockey series ever. That was against the Devils. And it went all the way up to the game 7. And of course, it's famous for Mark Messier's guaranteed win when I think the Rangers went down 3-2 or 3-1, something like that. Mark Messier went to the New York media and virtually guaranteed a win. So he became uber famous after that. And then, of course, after they beat the Devils, um, I think the series, ironically enough, was against Vancouver, who's playing tonight, and that went all 7 games, if I remember correctly, and the Rangers won that series. So here they are again. What is it? 30 years later, and they've gone about as far as they've gone recently. They're back in the conference final. I thought I thought the curse was going to take hold here, and if any team was going to blow a 3-0 lead, it was this team, because I'm sorry, I have not been all that impressed with them. Their 5-on-5 play has been at best mediocre and at worst atrocious, to the point where, well, in long stretches, the first round against a 16-seed team, they weren't playing very well 5-on-5 and relied on the power play to win it. They were doing the same thing this series. But I think what did the Canes in, honestly, was untimely bad goaltending. Frederick Anderson had been their number one, fell victim to a blood clot, then came back in time for the playoffs. But the one goal he let in, where it was by his skate, I think that was really the backbreaker. And Chris Kreider was, got hot at the right time, scored the natural hat trick, as Robbie mentioned, and that pretty much sealed the deal. And here they are. Kind of not surprised, but again, their 5-on-5 play has been spotty at best. So if they can find a way to clean that up, against Florida. Although I don't give them much of a chance, then this will be something of a series. But if you want my prediction, I'm saying right now Florida in 6.
Yeah, I think Florida, a lot of people had winning it all this year. So I mean, they're gonna be a tough out. I will say I'm kind of happy for Scott because Scott was rooting to play against Florida because he lives 15 minutes away from the stadium. And so
Nice.
he would get to see a Rangers game for, half the price he would see it at Madison Square
Yeah.
Garden, if not less.
Mm-hmm.
And so he got tickets to game 3. And assuming that his leg can make it, he's going to game 3 there. So has a little bit more time to recover because game 1's not until Wednesday. But yeah, it's going to be a really interesting series for sure. I want to get C4's thoughts on the Rangers Carolina series, and then we're going to talk about how Florida made it there.
Yeah, I was really hoping Carolina could pull it off. Like Gil said, if anyone could have done it, Florida could have. And yeah, the goaltending, he just at the end of the day, he just kind of looked a little tired at the that last period. He just was. I guess you miss some time. You miss any time in any sport. It still takes time to recover, even when they say you're 100% ready to go.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I felt bad for the fans. I mean, they had the game practically in the bag, it seemed, and they were playing hard and they were playing well. And then, aw,
I
hey
decided
buddy.
I decided to make a lily cam because that way I can then actually put this back over this way, and I don't have to.
There you go.
Yeah,
Hi, Lily.
yeah,
Living her best life, huh?
yeah, indeed.
I had 3 cats around here somewhere, and I don't know where they are. Oh, there's one,
It's funny. The cat is like the king
but
of the jungle. Let's see if I can switch you over to there.
oh, there we
He's
go.
on a fortress that my kids made, so uh, back with
But
him over
anyway,
there.
yeah, I was really hoping Flora would have pulled it off. Mostly because I would have liked to have seen Kuzi and Orlov move on because in spite of Kuzi's antics in the last couple of years, he's been one of my favorite players, and I've always liked Orlov. So it would have been nice to see them move on and have a chance to get another cup. But um, I'm really thinking, I think Florida can do it. I think Bob is going to give the Rangers trouble. Um, you know, he's a. It'll be interesting because he and Grigoriev, not Grigoriev, Shesterkin, those are probably two of the best goalies in the league right now. So it's going to be a really interesting series. If Florida doesn't have to play the refs, they stand a much better chance of knocking the Rangers out than pretty much anybody else right now.
Yeah.
So
It'll be interesting. So let's talk about that Boston series because I thought that was like one heck of a series. I'm sorry,
can,
Carly
can
is.
I just can I just say
Yeah,
I was watching that with my dad last weekend. That game, the one game.
yeah,
How is it Ekblad is holding the guy from the blue line, yet who I forget the guy's name. Yet the guy he was holding gets called for goalie interference. That's all I got to say about that.
yeah.
I mean, that was just insane.
Gil, what are some of your thoughts on
The
that series?
refereeing, the refereeing of on ice officiating in just about every series, every round has been awful. Um, at least there's been at least one very egregiously bad call in just about every single game. If the officials are not put under some sort of microscope when this is all over and some sort of change is made or some sort of reprimand or something, not that we'll ever see it because you know the league management is too good to report to its own fans apparently. um I won't be shocked if there's nothing, but there it's clear to me at least that there needs to be an overhaul. um Other than that, I thought it was a decent series. I thought Boston kind of it took them a while to kind of get past the whole physicality that Florida brought. I think
Mm-hmm.
they were kind of maybe I don't want to say
I
caught
think,
off guard by it. They shouldn't be when you got
but
guys
they
like
were a little
Marchand,
surprised.
but they were, well, yeah, but they were. And, everybody knows what Florida is by now, or at least they should have figured that out after last year.
Right.
But it took Boston kind of too long, maybe, to kind of find their own game. And when they did, it was already 3-1 Florida, and they managed to get one back, and they had Game 6 in hand, kind of like Carolina did.
Mm-hmm.
They were on their way to winning it, and just the flukiest of goals was scored, and you could kind of feel because Florida had the momentum. If you look at how that period was going, they had the momentum. They were getting the majority of scoring chances. I think Boston was kind of coasting a little bit, so it's kind of their own fault. But
Yeah.
it still very fluky goal. The puck was on its side, and it was shot, and it managed to find the one little bit of space that Swayman's leg was not covering between his leg pad and the post.
Yeah,
Uh,
that
and it
goal was crazy.
and it just squeaked in there, and it happened with about a minute and a half left to play, and it just killed everything. You could just feel the TD Garden just kind of deflate horribly when that happened, because there was no chance. There was just no chance after that. It's too little time. But other than that, it was a pretty good series. But I'm extremely disappointed in the on ice officiating. Not surprised that it was really really physical, but I don't know. They need to figure out what, if they're going to let everything go, or they're going to call some things, or call the
Yeah.
obvious stuff. The
And if
refs
you're
need to
not going to
figure it
call it
out.
on one team, don't call it on the other. Or if
Exactly.
you are going to call it on one, call it on the other one too.
Right.
There's been no consistency.
None.
So
Yeah.
other than that, I enjoyed watching it. It was a great series. Both teams played hard. Um, and like you said, that fluky goal at the end with the minute and change left, and
Yeah,
Florida takes it.
you hate to see it end like that. I would have rather it had gone to overtime,
Yeah,
and
maybe.
if you're going to lose that way, lose a heartbreaker in
Yeah.
overtime, at
Yeah,
least you
you don't
got it.
lose it in the last minute and a half of the
Don't lose it in
game.
the last minute again, and on a goal like that, that
Yeah,
that
that was
was
insane.
almost
Who was that?
complete.
Forsling? Was that who
Forsling,
scored it?
yeah, Forsling, I think it was.
Yeah,
Um,
that was
on
crazy.
on a goal that was almost 100% luck. I
It
hate to
was.
say.
He was. I don't even think he was. I'm not even sure he was trying to get it in. He just saw an opportunity and took a whack at it, and it went in. It was just a lucky bounce or a
Put it
lucky
on,
whatever.
put it on net, see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And but the thing too is they had a guys in front of the net, so if there was a rebound, there was somebody else to knock it in or try to
Right.
knock it in.
Yeah, I
So
think Boston.
I think that goal was going to happen one way or another.
Yeah, yeah, I think Boston was just about spent.
Yeah. Well, I think a couple of guys have been on the ice for quite a bit of time already
Yeah.
too. I think they hadn't had an opportunity to change,
No.
so they were looking a little tired. But yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. It really was. I I
There's a
kind
part of
of
me that's sad Boston didn't move on because
yeah, I
my dad and
wanted
I
them
were
to at least
watching the
push it
game.
to 7. I
Yeah,
I was kind of hoping they'd at least do that.
yeah, I would have liked to have seen the game seven. That would have been fun.
Yeah. I was hoping for a game
But
seven too. Sorry, my washer was doing crazy things. I don't know. Did you guys pick it up? Did you hear it at all or no?
I didn't hear anything.
No, I
That's
I
good.
didn't
That's
hear
good
it.
that the suppression was good. All right, but I won't go back again. It was just making really crazy noise behind me. It was very distracting. I was like, what the hell is that? But anyway. Um yeah, it's been some crazy stuff in the Eastern thing. I'm excited to see this matchup though. I just think Florida is going to be a really tough out for Rangers fans, and I think
Yeah.
that in a lot of ways Florida had to play some really tough teams. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this goes, with a little bit of a layoff and things like that. So you guys both think that Florida is going to win? Is that your?
Well,
That's the theory anyway.
that's my belief. I C4.
But
You don't sound too convinced.
I I don't know. The Rangers have just been so darn lucky lately, and I'm just concerned about the officiating because every team that the Rangers have played, they
I,
win because
I
their
get
special
that.
teams have been playing well, and so but Florida also is very good on the power play and penalty kill. So I
Yes.
think if Florida can control the game and play the way I think they are Florida, but hands down, in my opinion, is the better team. Hands down, is the better team, top to bottom, in my opinion. My concern is New York is on this roll and they're starting to get it in their head. I hope they get it in their heads that they are indestructible and Florida takes them down a peg or two.
Well, I think what's going to happen is they're not. I don't think the
But
Rangers are ready for the physical game that they're going to do to the Bruins. They're going to do to the Rangers what they did to the Bruins. I don't think they're
yeah,
ready for that. I really don't because
no. Well, the thing though is what the Rangers have that the Bruins really didn't have is Kempe or whatever his name is.
Rempe,
Rumpy.
he was a scratch. He was a scratch
What
for most of the series.
was he? I
Yeah.
didn't know. I didn't even.
No,
I
he
didn't
didn't.
even
He
notice that.
hardly. I think he got into game one, and that was it.
Yeah, this is new kitty. This is Sebastian
Oh, is he a
making his
tux?
friend. He is, and he's got a little white mustache. Look at his little mustache. Isn't he the cutest
Oh,
little mustache? So
my little tux is running around somewhere.
yeah, we just brought him home yesterday. Um, but um, yeah, my main concern though is the refs. If the refs give too many power plays to New York, Florida's going to have a hard time.
I think Florida's penalty kill is a lot better than most. Or, well, it put it this way: it has been during the playoffs. If you can keep Marchand and Pasternak at bay for the majority of a series, you're
Hmm,
doing pretty good.
that's true.
And I know Kreider got the hat trick, and I know Panarin's been pretty good off and on, but I'm
And
sorry that team just
Pro
doesn't scare
Trocheck,
me.
Tro
Procheck,
Trocheck,
yeah,
yeah,
he's probably their best two-way player.
yeah,
Um, they've got some good people, but
yeah.
they're
And
not they're
actually,
not built for the
honestly,
playoffs.
well, they're doing their darndest to prove people wrong.
Well,
But you're right. I do think Florida's going to end up winning it. I do. I think you're right. It's going to be at least six. Um, there's neither. It's not going to be a sweep. It's going to be at least six, I think.
no, no, it's
But
it's it's gonna go six at least, yeah, for sure.
yeah, but I think Florida's going to. I would like to see a Florida Vancouver, but Edmonton was playing really really well the other night, so it'll be interesting to see how this game ends tonight. Edmonton's
Well,
already got 12 shots on goal,
I was
so
gonna say it's interesting. We got 5 minutes left in the first period. It's a 12-2 shot disadvantage for Vancouver.
yeah.
Um,
I think
uh,
it's going to be an Edmonton Dallas final, and Edmonton's going to
yeah.
take it.
Uh,
I know, which will totally blow Gary Bettman's mind because Canada.
well, yeah, but he gets to ride McDavid and all that.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
true.
there is
Who are you
that.
guys rooting for in this game?
Say again.
Who are you guys rooting for in this game?
I kind of like to see Vancouver take it, but the way it's going right now, it looks like it's going to be Edmonton, and it's not going to be high scoring. It's going to be like a 1-0, 2-1, maybe 3-2 game.
Yeah, that's the only way.
Nobody's scored yet,
Well,
so
that's going to be the only way. The good thing is even with the number of shots they've already given up, um, it's been mainly a low event game so far, and that's going to work to Vancouver's favor. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the longer that goes on, yeah, it favors them. Now they're already under the gun because they're missing one of their top players, Brock Besser.
All right.
Um, he's partially driven their offense,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
I think part of the Oilers' problem is that they've been exposed as a one-line team. They really don't have too much as far as depth scoring, and it's
Yeah.
really hurt them at times this series. And if that stays, then that could end up being the deciding factor. But it sounds funny, but I'm kind of leaning towards Vancouver. But what I'm really hoping for is that somehow this game goes to overtime
Mm-hmm.
because when you have a game seven and an overtime, um,
Yeah.
yeah, there's really nothing better.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we might be up all night though. So, wow, this is
Yeah.
crazy. Two different people that are coming on the show just rated me simultaneously. Arun, who's playing StarCraft, which I didn't even know he was playing that right now, just rated in on Twitch. And then Champ, True No Spots Pod, just rated in as well. So yeah, that's pretty cool. We just got raids from our next two of our next three hosts. So I really appreciate that, guys, bringing in your communities on over here. And I love that they have 3 years ago we had this idea to move the podcast network over to Twitch and have people have their own channel, do whatever they want to. But it's cool to see us be able to rate into each other and be on each other's shows, and I really appreciate that, Champ and Arun. I'm happy to see that you're streaming. I haven't actually gotten to catch a stream of yours yet, but it looks like he's been streaming a bunch of different things. But I think he was just doing some StarCraft, if I see this correctly. So very cool. So welcome on in, guys.
Nice.
I'm excited to have you on in a few minutes there. And oh, my network connection failed. Please check. Oh, interesting. See, it's good that I don't rely on this computer over here for the main connection because I would have been booted, but it's fine for Lilycam because like who cares? I'll just relog in. But yeah, no, this has been fun. All right, so let's talk about how Dallas got there because I think that's kind of a little bit wild and exciting as well. Gil, talk a little bit about that series.
Um, Yeah, wow. This was, if there's any series that has been a surprise, it's that one. Even though Dallas finished ahead of Colorado in the overall standings in the West,
Mm-hmm.
I really thought Colorado was going to find some way because they're way more battle tested than this Dallas lineup is. So I really thought they were going to find a way to pull it out, and then they fell behind 3-1, and they won game five without too much of a problem at all, and that was the Colorado team we've seen for most of the year. So I kind of thought, okay, they've got a shot at taking it to game seven, and then game six came along, and it was in their own barn. Okay, they've got a shot here, and they just never ever got going. And then
No, it's like they
OT,
fell apart.
yeah, OT started, and you could just tell they were just spent. I don't know what happened, but they had
Yeah.
no energy, none.
They were
Um,
gassed.
and Dallas had several opportunities to win it. In fact, they did get a goal that was called back on the umpteenth goaltender interference call that was called back. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to go into that because that's we could spend literally the rest of the week talking about that. But you could tell Dallas was pushing the envelope and towards the end for, I would say, at least the last 15 minutes of the game into overtime. So you had that feel that they were going to push back and end it, and lo and behold, they did. Matt
Yeah.
Duchene of all people ends it in overtime. I I don't know. I'm kind of surprised because I thought Nathan McKinnon and Lehkonen and Rantanen and those guys would just take over and do what they've done all year, and it just did not happen. And I don't know if the whole Valeri Nikushkin thing was just too much of a downer for them, too much of a distraction. I don't know what it was, but they just
I think that
did not
played a
look like
part.
themselves. Yeah, I think it did too, but they just didn't look like themselves at all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So I just want to give a little update. Vancouver's on the power play. It's a 4 minute one because of a high sticking. So Peterson with the high stick. Or sorry, Ryan McLeod with a high stick drawn by Peterson. Um, yeah, so we'll see if they're able to do anything. They weren't able to do anything in the first 2 minutes. People don't know what a double minor is. Technically, they'd get kind of a bonus power play if they score in the first 2 minutes, but now we're in the last minute 30. A goal would obviously end it. But we'll see if they can get on the board here. We're right now a little bit beyond halfway through the first period.
Approaching the last minute, actually.
Yeah, I got a minute 16. They just
Yeah.
stopped play. So,
So yeah, Vancouver doesn't score, they'll finish with the man advantage.
Yeah, for about 10 to
Um,
15 seconds.
yeah,
yeah, they're not
let
good. Yeah.
just under a minute now. You know, low event game so far, and again, that works in Vancouver's favor. Um, it kind of this is going to sound breakaway for Vancouver on the short or Edmonton rather on the shorthand. Great save by Shilovs. And now Vancouver turns around. This is going to sound funny, but Vancouver is kind of reminds me of the Caps a little bit. Um,
It's a
in
huge
that,
drop on that breakaway, though.
yeah, yeah. They don't have they really don't have any game breakers. They've got a lot of good players, some young guys that are starting to come into their own. Um, but I think this is if the Caps can keep things together, maybe add one or two good pieces. This is where the Caps can be in say one maybe 2 seasons from now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I um I hope so. I mean, that's kind of the idea. So that's the end of the first period right there. There will be a little bit of a carryover, but man, what a close, tight match game. And it kind of reminds me of the whole series where it's been a lot of these sort of games. So, it's gonna be interesting to see. Do you think that Dallas prefers one of these teams over the other? Do you think doesn't really matter what how they're playing, Gil? What are some of your thoughts on that matchup?
I don't know. I'm still not 100% convinced Dallas is okay. They've got pieces that are built for the playoffs. Joe Pavelski's a great leader, although he's not. He's definitely slowed down some. Um, I don't know if they have. I don't see them having an edge, but if they wanted to play somebody, they probably want to play Edmonton. Because I think they can shut them down a lot easier. I don't know that they match up with Vancouver all that well. I think Vancouver's a little bit even with McDavid. Vancouver has a little bit of youth on their side. Their defense is a little bit better, a little bit
Mhm.
faster. Um, I I don't know. That's going to be a weird series to watch. I can't put my finger on who'd have the edge
Yeah.
against Dallas. But if I were Dallas, I think I'd want to play Edmonton because Dallas has a pretty solid defense. Um, and it's McDavid's a handful, but beyond his line and Draisaitl, they really don't. And Hyman, of course, they really don't have anybody beyond that first line that is dangerous.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's really hard to answer your question, Robbie. It's really hard to figure out because I've never been all that impressed by Dallas this year. I don't know how they won the division because all year long they've had this really bad habit of building a lead and giving it up late.
Yeah.
And for the most part, they fixed that, but I can also see that coming back in this next series. So
It's gonna be so interesting to see if a Canadian team can get to the cup, right? So it's just gonna be such a. It's so like it sucks for them that the two powerhouses met in the previous round, right? Because it's just like it's oof,
yeah, and I got family in Dallas, so if they're listening, they're going to be pissed off. But I'm kind of hoping they don't make it to the final
yeah,
Yeah.
because
it's like
for that reason, almost by itself, but for others as well. But I'm not. I don't know. They've got a lot of good players, but they don't scream playoff team to me. They just don't.
yeah, it's crazy that Dallas got to the conference finals in both basketball and hockey. So it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's insane.
kind of wild to see that. C4, any quick thoughts on this? And then I do want to get your thoughts on the Bears as well, before I let you get out of here.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Actually, pretty much what Gil said. I don't haven't followed the West as much. But
That's
I
I,
yeah,
I don't
just
as well, so I don't, yeah, I can't pretend.
what I've seen, and I do think because um Edmonton has just that one line, and if you shut that line down, the game it's yours to lose essentially. Whereas with Vancouver, they've got it's like a team, you're not sure who you have to shut down because it seems to me that they have a lot of guys that can do a lot of things.
Yeah,
And that's why they did so well this year. Now they don't have the superstars like the Drysaddles and the Hymans and the um, um,
McDavid.
McDavids. Thank you. Of all names to blank out on, right? But that makes them a little more unpredictable in terms of playing. So yeah, you're going to want to play the team you can shut down because if you shut down this line, the game is yours to lose. Whereas with Vancouver, it's a little more. You're going to have to make more adjustments in the play, so that may make it. And I'm not sure Dallas is the team that can adjust on the fly as well. You know what I mean?
yeah. I love how we got a Vancouver fan in chat, Swatter79, over on Twitch, and he's still upset. We were talking about how he still hates Boston, obviously for 2011, but he was also talking about how everyone doesn't give him a chance all year long, and also talking about how it's in 30 years since the Cup was in Canada last, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a
Yeah.
while, and so it'll definitely be interesting to see, for sure, who prevails in this battle for Canada now, in this game seven. It makes for a great storyline. I'm happy that it's live during the show. And Gil, I was actually going to offer up, if you want, you could always turn off your camera and mic and come back in like an hour and give your thoughts later on in the game if you wanted to, if you were still staying up. I don't know if you were going to sleep. I know you talked about wanting to watch this game anyway. So it does not have to be the end of your involvement tonight. I will leave it up to you. There's no pressure one way or another. If you wanted to give your thoughts later on in the game, because I know that it's still very early in the game, you're welcome.
Yeah, if this body I'm forced to live in is can make it through, yeah, I would very much love to do that.
Yeah,
If I
sounds
don't
good.
if I don't completely pass out sometime, yes, I would definitely, yeah.
Well,
I'll give it my best, and
uh, sounds
so
good.
yeah.
All right. So what we're gonna
Excellent.
do is we're gonna get your final thoughts on both of you guys on the Bears. So I want to talk about them for a second, and then I'll let C4 go, and then Gil, you can always just chat me in the Facebook Messenger room if you do need to go to bed, and there's no hard feelings whatsoever either way. But then after the champ segment, we can have kind of a final thoughts on how the game is going as well. And so yeah, does that work for you?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. All right, so C4, let's talk about the Hershey Bears, who've been playing phenomenal against the baby Rangers, as we'll call them.
Yes.
And uh,
Hartford.
so I want to get your take on the first two games so far.
Oh man. It was fun to watch. The second game, I think we slacked off just a little bit. This is Jazz trying to wander through, by the way.
Nice.
Um, they did seem to slack off a little bit in the second game and allowed Hartford to kind of almost get back in it. But I mean, Hershey has dominated both games. Um, I see no reason they can't repeat as conference champions on Wednesday night. I think they play again. Today's 20th.
You think they
Yeah,
sweep,
Wednesday night.
or do you think they give one back and then win in game four? What are your thoughts?
This I I think they're going to sweep Hartford. They should have swept
Yeah.
um
They
Lehigh
swept
Valley.
the
Hartford
last
last
round.
year in the same
They
round.
did. They did
So
sweep Hartford last year in the same round.
I love some of our players that played both sides. And Gil, it kind of worked out
And
really well for a lot of these guys to be able to play in the
mhm.
playoffs at the NHL level, get some
They
experience.
have been dominating. Henrik
And
Lapierre has something, it's crazy. He's got like, I don't know, 8 points and 3 goals or something.
and Miro
And
has
Miro has just
like
been
one of the
lighting it up.
AHL leaders in goal scoring already, and he missed a round, So like that's
Yeah,
kind of if you think about it, that's kind of wild. So I think he already has 5 goals. And
something like that. Yeah, it's,
so that's pretty good. Tied for team lead, and I think one off the AHL pace. I think somebody has 6,
yeah, let's see.
yeah, he's right up there
Yeah,
with him.
Lapierre's
And
got eight
just
points. Ethan Frank's got
some great.
5 goals. Snively's got 6 assists.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and they're doing it as a team. They have the Lapierre, they have Miro, they have their superstars, Ethan Frank and whatever, but they're doing it as a team. You know,
Yeah,
everybody's
they look
involved,
really good.
everybody's doing stuff, what they need to do. And yeah, it's just been fun to watch. We were in New York, but I got the AHL TV
Nice.
subscription, so we were able to watch the games on my computer while we were up there.
That's awesome. I love that. I love the
Yeah.
streaming and things like that. And these games have been also on Monumental, right,
Yes.
Gil?
Yes,
Yeah,
they have.
Yes. The Bears games. We were also watching some of the other games too. We were
right.
watching
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
but
So that's great that
um
it does that though for us fans, and it's
yeah, I have a sneaking I haven't been paying as close attention. Again, I don't pay attention to the West Coast, but I have a feeling I wouldn't be surprised because I've been hearing rumor. I don't know if Coachella Valley's still in it, but there are people talking about
hmm.
a rematch from last year
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I have
with
not.
Hershey and Coachella Valley. Now, I'm not sure where they are
That's
in the.
wild because Coachella Valley is like a relatively new franchise, I want to say.
Yeah.
So
Last year was their,
I thought it was their first year.
First
yeah,
year.
it was.
It
They were
was
the
kind of like
Vegas Knight.
Vegas
They were the
making it,
golden. Yeah, they were the Golden Knights of.
yeah, of that team. So that's wild
Yeah,
to make it if they do back to back in the first 2 years. But Vegas did similar things, so it's definitely possible.
yeah. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see if they have the bracket here.
And I do see that we've got Arun and
Oh, they
Tim.
do. Coachella Valley is in the Western Conference Final.
Wow, interesting.
They're
What is
playing. Yeah,
Ontario.
they beat Ontario 3 games to none.
Are they already won that?
Hmm.
But they're in the finals then, or that's the first.
They're in the. Hold on, I'm looking at. Yeah, they're in their Western Conference Finals, so they're waiting for. Um,
I just was surprised that ours was so.
yeah, they won. Yeah, they
Yeah, they
swept.
won.
They swept
They
Calgary.
swept this
No, they swept
Ontario.
Ontario. Yeah.
Wow. So they're already in the championship then?
Well, they're in the Western Conference Finals.
Got
So
it.
they'll play. I think they'll play either. I think is it Milwaukee? I don't know who to. Yeah,
I'm trying to.
Milwaukee. They'll play either Milwaukee or dang it, I just had it.
I haven't
Um
Oh, they have not.
Either Milwaukee or Grand Rapids.
got
And Grand Rapids is up 1 game to nothing over them.
That's just
And then
one
we
team to
will
or
play either Cleveland or Syracuse. And Cleveland is up 2-0 over Syracuse. So, but apparently Cleveland swept Hershey during the regular season. So that's going to be an interesting matchup if that's where it ends up.
so how does that work? Is it a best of seven in the conference finals or it's still five?
Uh, I'm not, you know what? I'm not real sure.
Yeah, the
I think the conference final, I think the only one that's 7 is the
is
finals.
the Calder Cup final, if I remember right.
Got it.
Let me
That
think.
makes some sense.
Yeah,
The key to remembering how the AHL scheduling works is they don't fly between games. They take the bus. So it
right.
takes them a lot longer,
Yeah, that's why they
especially the
don't play till
Western teams.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
So
far away,
I think only the finals is 7.
Yeah.
C4, how
I'm
far
pretty
away is
But
sure.
Hershey from you guys? Like how far of a drive is it when you guys go up there?
not quite 2 hours.
Yeah, it's not too far.
Mm-mm. And it's easy drive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, it's not even that hard from
no,
here.
the finals are 7 games because Hershey beat Rochester 4-2. So,
So the
it's
conference finals are also seven
the
games.
conference finals are also
Best
7 games.
best of seven. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
I
that's
went back and looked at last year. It's like, I don't remember.
yeah. I thought that it could be, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess it's about the same amount of time. I guess it takes a little bit longer from DC to get over there, but not too much for it. So just for people who don't
Hmm.
know, 2.5 hours to it then. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's,
Blue Acoustic in chat saying you want to send some love to everybody. And Uh, Thank you for the nice, kind words. I really appreciate that. And so we got so many friends in chat today, and so many people lurking and watching and being a part of it. I really appreciate all the support today. I know I had all these different plans, and everything kept on shifting and shifting and shifting, and it's hard not knowing who's even going to show up. But I really appreciate all the support and people showing up today. And it's been such a fun conversation talking to C4 and Gil. And
yeah.
Gil, any final thoughts on the Bears before we let C4 go and we'll talk a little bit of NBA playoffs?
Um, I was talking with a friend at work who's a big Caps fan, and I was telling her LaPierre is probably done with the AHL after this year. I would be very surprised if he doesn't make the big club come this next preseason. Um,
100%.
Miroshnichenko, even though he's pretty much Mr. Highlight Reel this playoffs, probably not as far along. But
No.
he only started last year, so give him a break. But I think he'll start in Hershey. He will probably finish in DC. Um, so I mean, you gotta love what's going on with these guys, and you got some guys that are probably ready to make the jump that we haven't seen yet. Ethan Frank,
Riley Sutter.
they Riley Sutter, Frank. They need to put him on everything,
Hmm.
definitely because he's playing great.
Yeah,
You know,
he's been awesome this
I think
series.
Sutter's ready to fill in the slot that will probably be vacated by Nick Dowd. I don't see
Yes.
them hanging on to Dowd all through next year. I think he's going to be a trade deadline move
Yeah.
for a team that needs a quality checking center. Um,
I think Marcus has it right when he says maybe, I don't know if at the start of the season, but by the end of the season, our centers in order are going to be LaPierre, McMichael, Strome, Sutter, top to bottom.
that's probably how it's going to shake out, unless they can land a guy in free agency, which I really really doubt.
Mm-mm.
Um, because the centers that are available are either too old or too expensive or both.
Yeah,
Um,
and I was listening to your podcast, and I absolutely agree. If anyone wants Leonard, it's an absolute no.
yeah, that's probably the one. Well, there's several, but that's got to be the one caveat is that he is off limits. There's no deal, absolutely no deal that's worth giving up on Leonard right
Nope.
now. So that's my take on it.
Yeah. Well, I love having this report, and C4 will definitely have you back on if you're available in 2 weeks to sort of do a
Okay.
last Bears report of
Yeah,
the season.
we're definitely gonna try and get to a couple more games.
Yeah, nice.
So
Yeah, I'll definitely want to hear how all those go, and that should be fun. I'm excited they're doing so well, and hopefully that will continue, and hopefully into an
lucky
AHL.
number 13.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your coverage of the Bears and the Caps all season, and I look forward to doing it one more time with
Thank
you
you.
in a couple
Yeah.
weeks. Or do you watch the Olympics at all? The Summer Olympics or
I
sports?
I do. I like to watch the track and field because I ran track in high school, and
Nice.
Bradley actually ran track in high school and college. So
So what I'm thinking about doing is doing an Olympic show in August, a two-part series
okay,
for the first 2 weeks in August, where everyone comes to the table with whatever sport they want to watch. They don't have to, there's no homework, there's no like I need to watch X, Y, or Z. But they just come to the table and they talk about the sport that they want to talk about. We'll talk about it ahead of time. I'll make a schedule of who wants to talk when and where and about which ones and see which people have overlap and then kind of make a conversation about the Olympics. It's just so rare to be able to do it, and it's kind of a fun thing. We've gotten to cover the last two, last winter and the summer ones on Twitch. We have got a global audience on Twitch, which is kind of fun. So you get to talk to people
nice.
many different countries, right? So there's an interest level there that might not be with our normal show, but it's something that I know it's in the middle of my break, but it's something I wanted to come back for and talk about it. So I love that you love track. My dad was a hurdler, and I always really like the Penn relays, and so I'd
Hmm.
love to talk track with you, and maybe we
Yeah,
can
I
do
was
that.
I was a
And
distance runner,
oh, that's
and
awesome.
Bradley was a multi guy. He actually did well. He started out as a sprinter and hurdler in high school and long jump occasionally.
Oh
And
wow,
then in college, he got into pentathlon during indoor track and decathlon and outdoor track. And actually, his sophomore year in 2018, so that would have been his junior year, because that was a year, and that was literally so Ken had his brain cancer surgery May 14th, and Bradley had ECACs, which is sort of like the Division 3 regional thing on the when that was Monday. And then Wednesday and Thursday was the decathlon, and Bradley ended up finishing fifth
nice,
in the decathlon there. So that was pretty awesome.
cool.
So that was his junior year.
That's awesome.
So,
Carly, I do want to say good night to Carly, but we are
or no,
about
what's
to
it?
talk about
Yeah,
the
junior.
Boston Celtics. Actually, you know what? C4, you did you watch any of the Celtics series
I
or
haven't been watching any
that's fair.
basketball.
You said you were a fan, so I was
So
gonna let you
I am
have
a
that as a
fan.
segue into
I haven't been watching because I've been,
yeah,
hockey.
hockey
Oh,
playoffs I
oh,
understand.
oh, Edmonton scored.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yep.
Wow, so the second period just started. So great shot. It was it's just like a
Cody
scene.
Cece, yeah, Cody Cece from the point with a pretty good blast that
I can't
hits the
tell if
top
it deflects
corner.
off something in front of him or not. It looks like it ramps up a little bit. I think that there was one of the Vancouver players in front of it. It may have hit their little part of their stick or something. It's just
Yeah, it looks like it deflected a little bit. Yeah, when they just now show the replay.
yeah. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
Yeah, I think it bounced off the stick
just
of
in that
Myers.
top right corner, top
That's
left
Yeah,
wild that
corner.
it deflects off of something and just hits a corner, right? Like,
Yeah,
how did that even
yeah.
happen? I don't even know. Like, but poor goalie. But good for us because, well, good for me. Who was rooting for Edmonton. I forget. So C4, who are you pulling for in this one?
I'd like to see Vancouver win,
The
honestly,
Vancouver.
just because I don't know, just because you
And
hear so
Gil,
much about Edmonton.
it's
I
true.
want to.
I can understand that. I've always rooted for Edmonton, so I'm going to stay true to that. But Gil, do you have a rooting interest in this? I know you said you
I'm
wanted to go overtime,
I'm
but
leaning Vancouver, partially because well they've never won the cup and they've never ever won the cup and their
Right.
fans are really hurting for it, and of course uh, Janae is kind of well she's at the game but she's kind of got
Yeah, that's pretty
jumped on
awesome.
jumped on their bandwagon, even though she's a dyed-in-the-wool Caps fan. So she's kind of gotten hardcore Vancouver because she lives there.
And Edmonds on the power play.
Yeah.
No, this is about to get from bad to worse. Oh no, yeah, Janae is at the game. We were gonna have her on the show. I know that we mentioned it at the beginning of the show, but I hope that she's having a good time. Her phone was at 1% when she entered the arena, which I was like,
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So that's kind of
That was
hopefully,
weird.
yeah. Hopefully, her girlfriend has some battery life for the tickets. But
Right?
yeah, they or like, can you print them, or I don't know. It's like in this world, like you need your phone to like get in. But
Yeah.
it makes it.
Maybe she's got a charger
Well, they
or a
have, I was
battery
gonna
with
say they
her.
have those
She said
battery
that
charger
she
things
didn't
you can
remember to bring
rent.
one. So hopefully that she did. That was the last I heard from her. So it went dark. So so she is there, I think. But I'll have to get her thoughts of it at a different time. But yeah, Edmonton's on the power play, about a minute left of it. They're out shooting Vancouver 17-3. It's about 6:54 on my clock. I know it goes a little bit ahead
I
of me.
got 17-10. I'm about 15 seconds behind you guys.
16:42. Shilov's a
Oh yeah.
Canucks goalie just stoned them on pretty much a point blank chance,
I'm like
keeping it
5 seconds.
1-0.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know my MAA guys have been waiting, so I appreciate them for being patient. But C4, I really
Yep.
appreciate you as always, and we'll
Yes,
definitely have
thank
you
you for
back
having
on
me.
in 2 weeks, and we'll
Yep.
even maybe talk some running in the summer as well.
Sounds like a plan. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All
All
right. Good
right.
night. Take
All
care.
right.
All right. So Gil, if you want to just turn off your camera and mute yourself, then you can just I'll send you a message in chat when we're about to like switch over if you want or
Yeah, definitely gonna give it a shot. And yeah, if I flatline, just go on without me. But yeah, I'm gonna do my best to get back on here.
sounds good. Awesome. Appreciate it. So we'll have
Okay.
Joel back with the hockey report later. And